Hi everyone. So I have finished The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, and I know I have said this every single time we've had book group, um, but I have to say it again. I cannot believe that S.E. Hinton was 15 years old when she wrote this. She really was in touch with the psychological makeup and what was going on in the brains of her characters. It is simply amazing that a 15-year-old was able to do that so succinctly. It's just and reading it as an adult, I've seen so much more from the book than I did when I was reading it myself at the age of 14 and 15. It is just like, I feel like I want to go out and buy the rest of her books now because I want to see how her writing came along. And I know this is her most famous book, but I want to see, like, if she kept that up. I want to see where she went with it as she grew up. I mean, that, yeah. Okay, so the ending. Okay, we have deaths, we have a rumble, we have a church fire that the bad boy greasers go in and save a bunch of small school children. Um, it's amazing, and there's tons of adrenaline going on here. Definitely contemporary. Johnny dies because he was going in to play hero, even though he had just previously murdered someone else, which I think was in self-defense. But they were hiding out in the church, and when they left, I think they left a cigarette burning, which caused the church to start to burn down, catch on fire. However, there were a bunch of little children in the church for a school trip, and they were caught inside. And so Johnny and Ponyboy went in to try and save the kids, and in doing so, a beam from the church fell on top of Johnny, and he ended up then severe burns, broken back, everything. Ended up in the hospital and ended up dying. But shortly after the big rumble between the Socs and the greasers, and he died in front of his friends that he loved so much. He died, I don't know if he was waiting for them. That's the way I feel, like he was waiting for them to see them again before he died, but he died in front of them, which, whew. Dallas is shot and died, and this was also actually after the rumble. He went in to rob a grocery store, and I think he was just sad because Johnny died, so he went to rob a grocery store, and when the police showed up, he showed them their guns, so I think that was a form of suicide. There's a lot going on here. And then, of course, we have the rumble between the Socs and the greasers. And the interesting thing that I found about this is that, yes, they were having a rumble, but Ponyboy was definitely starting to understand humanity more beyond his little realm. He had a Soc come and talk to him about the rumble and, like, I don't want to do this. This is hard. I don't, we need to stop this. And it was so heartfelt. And I think they still went on with the rumble. But I think each side would have come out of it with more of an understanding of what each group is and how they are not so completely different. And I think Cherry, the girl from the beginning from the drive-in, actually helped with that because she went back and forth talking to each side, making sure it was fair and telling everybody what she found, that, these greasers aren't that bad. What are you doing? And I just think that was amazing. At the end, the thing that really got me, and I kind of started crying a little bit, is, and this is something I did not pick up. So during the rumble, Ponyboy is kicked and stomped on the head several times. And through it, he has a concussion, and they mention concussion. However, I just want to read, because all of this is so, like, traumatic head injury, and she must have had somebody in her life that had a traumatic injury. My son had a traumatic head injury, which for 2 years plagued him. He was in bed for 2 years. And this portrayed exactly what he was going through. So it's just like, whew, okay, I had a moment while reading. I wish I could say that everything went back to normal, but it didn't, especially me. I started running into things like the door and kept tripping over the coffee table and losing things. I have been kind of absent-minded, but man, then I was lucky if I got home from school with the right notebook and with both shoes on. I walked all the way home once in my stocking feet and didn't even notice until Steve made some bright remark about it. I guess I'd left my shoes in the locker room at school, but I never did find them. And another thing, I quit eating. This was my son. I used to eat like a horse, but all of a sudden I wasn't hungry. Everything tasted like bologna. Seriously, bologna. I was lousing up my schoolwork too. I didn't do too badly in math because Derry checked over my homework, and in that, they caught all my mistakes and made me do it again. But in English, I really washed it out. I used to make A's in English, mostly because my teacher made me do compositions all the time. I mean, I know I don't talk good English. Have you ever seen anyone in the hood do that? But I can write good when I try. At least I could before. Now I was lucky to get a D on composition. I mean, I have known, now my son, he kind of actually thrived in English and writing after the head injury more than he did so before. It was kind of a weird thing. But I have seen so many kids in the head injury kind of world that have gone through not being able to do the things that they were able to do before and suffering because of it, and teachers don't understand. But luckily his teacher did understand sort of what was going on. So he gave him the chance, his teacher gave him the chance to write about something that he wanted to write about to bring his grade up. So, and we find out, like, the book ends exactly the way as it started. Let me find that. He decided to write the paper that his teacher suggested he write about anything that he wanted. And so he was thinking about what he's learned about basically humanity, about both sides of the social greaser issue. And so this is what he said, and then I'll tell you where the novel starts with the end. So, and I decided I could tell people, beginning with my English teacher. I wondered for a long time how I could start that theme, how to start writing about something that was important to me, and I finally began with this. And this is exactly how the novel starts. When I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, I had only two things on my mind: Paul Newman and a ride home. Whew. Okay, so yeah, she's a powerful writer, and I hope that she kept it up. I hope that the rest of her books are as good as this. So, that being said, so while so many people died, that was not a happy ending. However, they had to go to court to see if the kids would be allowed to stay together, and they were. The judge ruled in favor of them, so that was something happy. They weren't torn apart, which was huge. Something else that I wanted to read to you. This is the part where I really realized that S.E. Hinton really just got it. This passage. I could picture hundreds and hundreds of boys living on the wrong sides of the cities, boys with black eyes who jumped at their own shadows, hundreds of boys who maybe watched sunsets and looked at stars and ached for something better. I could see boys going down under streetlights because they were mean and tough and hated the world, and it was too late to tell them that there was still good in it, and they wouldn't believe you if you did. It was too vast a problem to be just a personal thing. So good. Okay, so I'll get back to, yeah. It ended, like, I had all the feels when this ended. I was very emotional when this book ended. It ended so well. Wasn't a happy ending, but I was very happy that they got to stick together. So, okay. This is young adult contemporary. It is young adult because it's a teen protagonist dealing with teen issues and written by a teen. There is really no adult contact with this. The only adults we see are police officers and the occasional parent. The main character did not have a parent in the story, so that's definitely YA. It is contemporary, definitely, because it is fast-paced. There's definitely an adrenaline rush. We have several fights. We have a whole brawl. We have a fire. We have people dying. There's suspense, and it does not end well. Definitely contemporary. Romance, there's a hint of a relationship, but it is not its focus. Love is there. There's so much love between the brothers and the gang members. They love each other thoroughly and completely. So that's important. Love is not out of the picture. It is there. Speculative, no. I mean, there's no fantasy, there's no magic, there's no sci-fi in this. It is definitely not there. However, the world building aspect of this is amazing. She really paints a picture of what life is like for these people and what it's like to live on the wrong side of the tracks. And so world building, she really did a great job with that. So I think I answered all of the questions. Okay, I would suggest if you haven't read The Outsiders in a while, read it again. It's a really quick read if you're not reading it for a class and trying to gain everything you can from it. If you're just reading it, you could probably get it done in a night or a weekend or something. So, and all right, and with that, I am going to watch the movie tonight. I'm gonna, yeah. Thanks, bye.